Imagine waking up every single day before the sun rises. It is cold, it is dark, you are tired, but you have no choice. You must get up, you must go to work, and your work is underground. You go deep, deep under the ground. No windows, no sunlight, no fresh air, just dust, darkness, and danger every single day of your life. Today you are not just watching a story, you are the story. You are a coal miner in England in the year 1840, and your life is about to change everything you think you know about hard work. Stay with me, because this story will shock you, it will move you, and it will teach you something real about life and about English. Chapter 1. The morning that never feels like morning. It is 4 o'clock in the morning. The sky is completely black. There are no stars tonight, only thick gray clouds and cold, biting wind. You open your eyes. For one small second, you forget where you are. Then you remember. You always remember. Your name is Thomas. You are 12 years old. You live in a small town in northern England called Durham. Your house is tiny. One room for sleeping, one room for everything else. The walls are thin. The floor is made of old, broken stone. In winter, you can see your own breath inside the house because it is that cold. Your father, William, is already awake. He is sitting at the table, eating a small piece of bread. No butter, no jam, just bread. He looks at you with tired eyes and says only 2 words. Time, son. That is all he says. He does not say good morning. He does not ask how you slept. Because in this world, in this life, there is no time for those kinds of words. Industrial Revolution, a time in history, around 1760 to 1840, when people started using machines in factories to make things instead of doing everything by hand. It changed the world forever. You put on your clothes. They are the same clothes you wore yesterday, and the day before that. They are dark with coal dust, a thick black powder that comes from digging coal. The dust never fully washes out. It lives in your clothes. It lives in your skin. It lives in your lungs. You eat your bread quickly. Then you and your father walk out into the cold, dark morning, joining a long, quiet line of men and boys, all walking in the same direction, all going to the same place, the mine. Nobody talks much on this walk. You have walked this same path hundreds of times. You know every stone, every puddle, every broken fence along the road. The mine is about 1 mile away, but it feels longer in the cold and dark. When you reach the top of the mine, you can already smell it, that deep, heavy smell, like wet earth mixed with something old and burnt. You have smelled it so many times that it does not bother you anymore. It has become the smell of your life. Chapter 2. Going down. At the top of the mine there is a big machine called a winding engine. It makes a loud, screaming sound as it moves. This machine controls a large metal cage, like a box with no walls, that carries the miners deep underground. The miners call this cage the cage. Very simple name, very scary thing. Shaft. A shaft is a long, deep hole going straight down into the ground. In a mine, workers go down the shaft to reach the coal underground. You step into the cage with your father and 12 other men. The cage shakes a little. Then it drops. Fast. Your stomach jumps up into your chest. The walls of the shaft rush past you. Down, 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 deeper and deeper into the earth. In just a few seconds, the tiny circle of light above you gets smaller, smaller, and then disappears completely. Total darkness. Total silence, except for the sound of the cable and the cage moving through the rock. Some of the new workers are afraid at this moment. You remember being afraid too on your first day. That was 3 years ago, when you were 9 years old. Yes, 9 years old, because in 1840, children as young as 5 sometimes worked in the mines. The cage stops. You are now about 300 feet underground. That's the same as a 30-floor building, but going down, not up. You step out of the cage, and a man hands you a small oil lamp. This lamp gives a small yellow light. It is the only light you will have for the next 10 hours. 10 hours underground. No sunlight, no fresh air, no way out except the cage, which only comes up and down a few times each day. If something goes wrong down here, and sometimes things go very wrong, help takes a long time to arrive. But you do not think about that. You cannot think about that. You just walk forward through a low, narrow tunnel, following the yellow light of your lamp. Your father walks ahead of you. His big shoulders almost touch both sides of the tunnel wall. Chapter 3: The Work That Breaks Bodies. Your job in the mine is called a trapper. You sit beside a wooden door called a trapdoor, deep inside the tunnel. Your job is very simple, but also very important. When the coal carts pass through, you open the door. When they pass, you close it again. This door controls the movement of air inside the mine. Without good airflow, dangerous gases can build up, and the mine can explode. So your job keeps everyone alive. But here's the hard part. You sit alone, in the dark, for hours. Sometimes your lamp runs out of oil. Then you sit in total, complete darkness. You cannot see your own hand in front of your face. The only sounds are the distant sounds of pickaxes hitting rock, the rumble of coal carts, and sometimes, if you listen very carefully, the sound of water dripping somewhere deep in the tunnel. Pickaxe. A pickaxe is a heavy tool with a sharp, pointed metal end and a long wooden handle. Miners used it to break apart rock and coal underground. Your father works further down the tunnel. His job is called a hewer. He uses a heavy pickaxe to cut coal from the rock wall. He swings that pickaxe hundreds of times every single day. His arms are very strong, like thick ropes of muscle. But his back is always in pain. Always. He never talks about the pain, but you see it in the way he walks at the end of the day. Slowly, carefully, like an old man, even though he is only 34 years old. Hewer. A hewer was a coal miner whose job was to use a pickaxe to cut and break coal from the walls of the mine. It was the hardest physical job in the mine. The tunnel where your father works is only 4 feet tall. That means he cannot stand up straight. He works bent over, or sometimes lying on his side, swinging his pickaxe sideways, hour after hour, day after day. The coal dust fills the air around him like a black fog. He breathes it in with every breath. The miners call this sickness black lung. The dust slowly destroys the lungs from the inside. Many miners die from it, not from accidents, but from simply breathing the air they work in for too many years. But William, your father, does not complain. He cannot afford to. If he stops working, the family does not eat. It is that simple. There is no sick pay. There is no help from the government. If you do not work, you do not survive. So William swings his pickaxe every day without stopping. Chapter 4. Danger is always watching now. Here's where the story gets very serious, and I need you to really listen. Working in a coal mine in the 1800s was one of the most dangerous jobs in human history. Every single day, miners faced dangers that could kill them in seconds. Let me tell you about 3 of the biggest ones. The first danger is called a fire damp explosion. Inside coal mines, a gas called methane builds up naturally in the cracks of the rock. Methane is invisible. You cannot see it, you cannot smell it. But when it mixes with air and touches a flame, even a small one from your oil lamp, it explodes. The explosion travels through the tunnels like a wave of fire. Many miners have died in these explosions. Whole mines have been destroyed in seconds. Fire damp is a dangerous gas, mostly methane, that builds up naturally inside coal mines. It can explode when it mixes with air and touches fire or a spark. The second danger is a roof collapse. The tunnels underground are held up by wooden beams and supports, but the rock and earth above is very heavy. Sometimes the wood breaks, sometimes the rock shifts, and then, with no warning, the tunnel ceiling falls down. If a miner is under it when it falls, there is no escape. This happened regularly in mines across England. You knew about it. All the miners knew about it, but you could not think about it too much or the fear would stop you from working. The third danger is flooding. Underground, water is everywhere, in the rock, in the walls, and hidden rivers beneath your feet that you cannot see. Sometimes the water breaks through and floods the tunnel fast, very fast, faster than a man can run. In 1838, at a mine not far from where you work, flooding killed 26 children in a single morning. The youngest was only 4 years old. One morning, while you are sitting at your trapdoor in the dark, you hear a sound. It is a deep, low cracking sound, like a giant tree slowly breaking. The sound comes from above you. The roof. You freeze. You do not move. You do not breathe. The sound stops. The tunnel is silent again. After 10 seconds that feel like 10 years, you hear the sound of coal carts moving again in the distance. The danger has passed. This time. You let out a long, shaking breath. Your heart is beating very fast, but you stay in your seat. You keep your hand on the trapdoor rope, because your job is to keep the door working, and you cannot leave your post, even when you are afraid, especially when you are afraid. In this story, post means the place where you must stay to do your job. Leaving your post means leaving your work position without permission, which was not allowed. Chapter 5. The World Above Ground. At the end of 10 long hours, the cage carries you back up to the surface. When you step out into the open air, sometimes the sun is already setting. You have been underground so long that the whole day has passed without you. You live like a creature that belongs to the dark earth, not to the sky. Your town, your whole community, exists because of the mine. Almost every family in Durham works in the mine, or lives because someone in the family works in the mine. The mine owners are very powerful men. They own the land, they own the houses. In many cases, they own the company shop, the only place where miners can buy food and clothes. The miners are paid in a kind of fake money called truck that can only be used in the company shop. This means the mine owners control everything, what you earn and how you spend it. Truck system. The truck system was when employers paid workers with vouchers or tokens instead of real money. Workers could only spend these at the company's own shop, which kept workers dependent on their employers. Your mother, Mary, works too. She takes in washing from wealthier families in the next town. She washes their clothes by hand in a big cold tub of water, and her hands are red and cracked because of it. She works from early morning to late at night. She also cooks, cleans, and takes care of your 3 younger brothers and sisters. She never stops moving. She never stops working. You have never seen your mother do nothing, not even for 5 minutes. On Saturday evenings, if the week has been good, your father buys a small amount of ale from the pub at the end of your street. He sits at the table, drinks slowly, and sometimes tells stories about when he was young, before the mine. He grew up on a farm. He talks about the smell of cut grass in summer and the sound of birds in the morning. In those moments, his eyes look different, softer, younger, like he is visiting a world that only lives in his memory now. Sunday is the only day you do not work. In the morning, almost everyone in the town goes to the small church at the top of the hill. The church is the one place where everyone is equal. The mine owner, the hewer, the trapper boy, and the washerwoman all sit in the same building and listen to the same words. After church, you walk to the river with your youngest sister, Agnes. She is 6 years old. She asks you what it is like underground. You look for the right words. You tell her it is very quiet and very dark, but it is okay. You do not tell her the rest. Chapter 6. The Day Everything Changes. One cold Tuesday in November, a woman comes to your town. She is not from Durham. She is from London. Her name is Mrs. Eleanor Hartley, and she is what people call a social reformer, a person who wants to change the laws and make life better for workers and children. A social reformer is a person who works to change laws in society, to make life more fair and safe, especially for poor and working people. Mrs. Hartley has been going to mines all across England, listening to workers and writing down what she hears. She carries a notebook everywhere. She wants to show the members of the British Parliament, the people who make the laws, what life is really like for miners. Because most of those lawmakers have never seen a mine. They live in big, comfortable houses in London. They have no idea. She comes to your family's door on a Tuesday evening. Your mother opens the door with wide, surprised eyes. Visitors from London do not come to Durham very often. Mrs. Hartley is polite and calm. She asks if she may come in and ask some questions. Your mother looks at your father. Your father nods slowly. For 2 hours, Mrs. Hartley sits at your table and asks questions. She asks about your hours, your pay, your food, your health. She asks you, Thomas, to describe your work as a trapper. What does it feel like to sit alone in the dark? Are you afraid? Have you ever been hurt? You look at your father before you answer. He gives you a small nod. So you tell her the truth. You tell her about the darkness, about the sounds the roof makes sometimes, about the time you sat in the dark for 4 hours because your lamp ran out and nobody came to help you, about the day 6 months ago when a boy from the other tunnel, a boy named Samuel, who was only 8 years old, was hit by a coal cart and badly injured his leg. Samuel never came back to the mine after that. His family had to leave town because they could not pay their rent. Mrs. Hartley writes everything down, very fast. Her hand barely stops moving. When you finish speaking, she puts down her pen, looks at you and says quietly, "You are a very brave boy, Thomas. And I promise you, I will make sure people hear your story. You do not fully understand what that means, but something in your chest feels different. Lighter. Like when you come up from the mine into the open air after a long day underground, that first breath of real air that hits you. It feels something like hope. Parliament is the group of people who make laws for a country. In England, Parliament meets in London and has the power to change the rules for how people live and work." Chapter 7. The world begins to listen. 2 years later, in 1842, something important happens. The British Parliament passes a new law. It is called the Mines Act of 1842. This law says that children under 10 years old can no longer work underground. It also says that women can no longer work underground. It is the first law of its kind, the first time the British government says that a mine owner cannot do whatever he wants with his workers. It is not perfect. 10 years old is still very young to work underground. The law does not cover many things, but it is a start, a real, official start. And people like Mrs. Hartley, social reformers who collected real stories from real people, are a big reason why this law was made. Reform. A reform is an important change, especially a change to a law or system that makes something better or more fair. Reforms usually happen slowly, after many people fight for change. When you hear about the new law, you are 14 years old. You have been working in the mine for 5 years. The law does not change your life directly. You are still underground every day. But something changes in the air of the town. People talk differently. They feel that someone, somewhere, has listened. And when people feel heard, they find strength they did not know they had. Your father's back is worse now. Some mornings he cannot get out of bed without your help. You have taken on harder work in the mine. You are no longer a trapper boy. Now you work alongside the other young men, pushing heavy coal carts along the tracks inside the tunnels. Your arms and legs have become strong. Your shoulders are wider. But you cough more now. The black dust lives in your lungs, just like it lives in your father's. One evening your father gives you something. He reaches under the bed and pulls out a small, thin book. The cover is worn and old. "Someone left this at the mine last year," he says. "I cannot read it, but I think you should learn." The book is a simple reading primer, a beginner's reading book. A primer is a simple book used to teach children or anyone the basics of reading and writing. It starts with very simple words and sentences. By candlelight after every long, hard day underground, you teach yourself to read, letter by letter, word by word. It takes many months. Some nights your eyes are so tired that the letters look like they are moving on the page, but you keep going, because you understand something important, something that Mrs. Hartley showed you without saying it directly. Knowledge is a door, and a door is the most powerful thing in the world when you live underground. By the time you are 16, you can read well. You start writing letters, to other miners, to local newspapers, to anyone who will listen, about the men with broken backs, about the dust in their lungs, about the children who should be in school, but are sitting in the dark instead. You do not change the world overnight. Nobody does. But something is building, across England, across the mines, in the hearts of thousands of workers who are tired and strong and alive. A movement, slow, heavy, and powerful, just like coal. Movement. In this context, a movement means a large group of people who all work together to change something in society, usually something they believe is unfair or wrong. And so, that is the story of your life as a coal miner in the Industrial Revolution. A life of darkness, danger, dust, and hard work. But also, a life of courage, a life of love for your family, a life of small, quiet moments of hope that kept you moving forward even when everything was heavy. The people who lived this life were real. Thomas is not a real person, but his story is built from the real stories of thousands of real children and men and women who worked in these mines. Their lives built the modern world. The machines ran on coal. The factories ran on coal. The trains, the ships, the lights in the streets, all of it came from the coal that people like William and Thomas pulled out of the earth with their bare hands. We remember them by learning their story, and you have done that today, in English. So be proud of yourself. Now, if this story helped your English and moved your heart, please like this video, leave a comment below and tell me which part of the story surprised you the most, and subscribe if you want more powerful stories told in simple, clear English, because there are so many more stories waiting for you right here. See you in the next one. Keep learning, keep going.